Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, let's get underway here with episode 120 of Fathers of the Grind. Thank you guys for, tuning in. I don't know if you actually listen or not. Google could be lying to me and iTunes with all their stats, So maybe no one listens. Truly, maybe it is just you and I.
I would be surprised after last week's train wreck of a show if anybody comes back for more.
It's a good show when people say, hey, I had to turn this down when I pulled up through a drive-thru or when friends got in the car or whatever, because I don't want them thinking I listened to a completely gay podcast. That's basically the feedback that we got. Or no, it was actually about
white supremacy.
If you ain't white, you ain't right.
Which I don't remember saying that.
Or something like
that.
Did
I say that last episode?
Very end of the show. Very, very end of the show.
I don't remember. And I did finally get to the end of the show. It took me a while to get through last week's show. Just because, God, Tim just kept talking and talking. I'm like, oh, just please shut up. But no, I don't remember saying that. But it was funny because Jesse, messaged our little private message to tell that story. And I read it kind of late. I didn't get it right away. And then and actually, to be honest with you, I don't read a lot of their messages. I just had so happened to go and read through to see what they were saying. And he had told that story. I'm like, why did you not post that in the group? That is a great story. So he's like, all right, I'll go do it. I thought it was a great story.
It is a good one. It's pretty solid. All right, so stuff we've been playing this week. I'm still doing the same exact stuff as last week. You and I are still in the same spot with A Way Out. We need to finish that game.
Yeah.
Bayonetta 2, I've played a little bit more of, but not a ton because I spent a lot of time on Far Cry 5, which we can talk about a little bit more if you want. And Sea of Thieves as well. I've partnered up with a few other people on Sea of Thieves. Still a very fun multiplayer game. I'll stand by what I said last time. I really enjoy Sea of Thieves. And hey, I look like a pirate now, for real. I've got the whole Blackbeard look going on with a hook and a peg leg and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that game's still fun.
And you don't have to talk about it a long time because we did talk about that game for a while last week. But what is...
at least.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it. What is it about it that's bringing you back? Even this past week, why would you want to play it? Because you said, there's no progression system. Yeah. The combat's okay. What is it that you're like, oh, I want to play this again.
It is for the most part, it's a relaxing, kind of cathartic experience. Just to get out there, grab a couple missions, and get on your boat, and then set sail. And there's times when it gets very stressful when you run into other players who are antagonistic and trying to jank all your stuff. That's pretty annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's just very relaxing. It's one of those things where you can put on a podcast, listen to it. I usually have the headphones in though because I love the sound effects of the game itself. It's just a relaxing game experience. And if you can at least get one other person to play with, you can just sit and chat while you're playing. And it's a lot of fun. Okay. So that's the thing pulling me back. I think one of our buddies from the group, Frank Clark, is talking about getting it here in a couple weeks. And I am interested in playing it with him a little bit too when he gets it. But that might be my last run with it because God of War is coming out soon. Yeah. So, yeah, that might be my
when's God of War's release date?
April 20th. So we've got less than 2 weeks now.
Oh, and I got to try to get through Far Cry 5.
Yeah, it's really all about Far Cry 5 for me right now. I don't know, man. We should go back and I don't know. I know we did this in the past, but we should re-rank our favorite developers because I feel like Ubisoft would be up there with their last. I know you didn't like Watch Dogs 2, but I did. And not to mention, I of course loved Assassin's Creed Origins and really, really am enjoying Far Cry 5. I feel like Ubisoft might be my favorite. I'm not sure. They're up there.
I've always really, really liked their stuff. They were getting a little repetitive, but I feel like they've gotten really smart with their... Excuse me. By the way, we're recording late, and even though I took a nap today, I guess I am getting a little tired. But
I just want to say that was you boring yourself just now. That's what that was.
No, it was me remembering you talking about Sea of Thieves. I hate you.
Oh my gosh. Again?
No, but I feel like even with some of their franchises that were kind of getting, I guess you could say, stagnant or repetitive, they've really done a good job of going, you know what, we got to reboot them a little bit. Um, I don't think they took a long time off Far Cry 5. I think Primal came out, what, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, it was almost 2 years to the
Two
day
years
that those
ago.
things released. Yeah,
I was gonna say I thought Primal was an early year release.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah, so 2 years ago. So that's not like a long wait. But I feel like they made enough necessary changes to Far Cry 5 for me personally that makes me easily love this game way more than any Far Cry game I've played. And
yeah,
I do like the franchise.
yeah,
Same thing with Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Origins. I know people love Origins more than Syndicate, but I still really love Syndicate.
yeah.
But they've just done a good job of going, hey, we want to keep these franchises alive and fresh, and they hear the complaints from gamers on how they're screwing up this or they need to fix this, and I feel like they're doing it, and
Yeah.
I really do
Well,
appreciate
well, the thing with
Ubisoft games.
Assassin's Creed is I felt like they had kind of gotten into a rut, and even though you and I both, I really liked Black Flag. We both thought Rogue was pretty good. We both loved Syndicate, but then they took that year off, and Origins really feels like a reboot to the franchise, like you said. It feels like a brand new IP almost in some ways. So they did a lot with Origins that was way different. With Far Cry 5, I feel like they're still in a very comfortable rhythm with this is what Far Cry is. So Far Cry 3, 4, and
Hmm.
Primal are all kind of the same thing, and 5 is a lot more of that same thing with a big open world, kind of
Yeah.
pick your own path and do things in whatever order you want, but it's all fun and satisfying. There's actually a lot in this world that reminds me of Grand Theft Auto, just from the crazy characters and the weird missions they send you out on, the conspiracy theory nuts that are very well voice acted and very goofy. They want you to go steal back their helicopter or whatever else, or take this drug and go, test it out for me by punching all these zombie dudes that are running at you. So, all sorts of crazy, silly missions mixed in with pretty heavy story about this cult. So,
Yeah.
I really like it a lot.
You're
I
further
have
than me, though.
yeah, I'm two bosses down, and I've done most of both of the first two areas, and I'm probably about 50%. You know how we talked last time about how you have to fill up this
Hmm.
resistance points bar. I'm halfway filling up that bar with the third sibling. So it's really really good. There's
Was
some
the second, without like spoiling it, was the
yeah.
second boss fight good?
It's actually really interesting. It's kind of tough, but it's really interesting.
Okay.
If you're gonna do it co-op with your buddy that you've been playing with,
Uh-huh.
it might be a lot simpler because playing it solo was a little bit tough.
Okay.
But if you know what, it feels the most video gamey of all the things that Far Cry 5 has had to offer. It's still fun, but it feels very much like a video game boss fight
Okay.
compared to the first one I did was to the southwest, and that didn't really feel like a boss fight. That felt more like an overall chase where I'm killing lots of guys, and one of those people happened to be the boss. That didn't feel that tough. This one's actually a boss fight, so it's
Yeah.
good. It's
All
good.
right.
They really mess with your head in that southeast area. Everything messes with your head. You think that you're looking at a deer, but you shoot it, and it becomes a grizzly bear or
Mhm.
whatever. Like all this crazy. They mess with your head a ton
I'm
in that whole area.
well, since we're talking about it, yes, Far Cry 5 is what I'm playing. It's all I'm playing. I'm like past the 3/4 mark of the resistance point, so I'm real close to the final boss fight. Still kind of just taking my time, and I'm still playing in my friend's game too. So I feel like I've put 20 to 25 hours in this game, but I'm going so slow because I just don't even care. I'm
Yeah.
just enjoying every moment of it. This
Yep.
is like, I think, the perfect game for me to jump back in because, like I said, I've always liked the Far Cry games, but I feel like this is the one that's taken out everything that I disliked and made it, I would say so far, a little bit, while being more fun, but also even a little more simpler. Because I'm unlocking a lot of the helpers or whatever they're called,
Mm-hmm.
and I unlock the ability to use two of them at a time. So I'll
Yep.
use Nick Rye a lot in the air, and then I have my Grace as my sniper, and then you got me who's running gun. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been really enjoying battling with those two a lot. So
Yep. And
it's really good.
so when you're playing co-op, since I haven't played co-op on this game, do you lose the guns for hire, or can you use them too?
I lose, I think, because I have two unlocked. So in my game, I lose one.
Okay, so you
My
can only
friend,
have one at a time.
yeah, my friend
Okay.
replaces one of the guns for
Okay.
hire, and then the
Gotcha.
other one I can use.
I was just like you. That's one of the first things I saved up perk points towards was to get a second person because I usually a lot of times I'll have the dog and I'll
Mhm.
actually since they won't attack the dog unless they see you nearby. So I just send the dog straight through the camp. I even aim for him right in the middle of the camp. He'll run in there and he'll mark all the guys for me, and I'll send him to the far side of the camp, then to the sides, and then bring him
Mhm.
back to me. And then I've got the whole camp marked without even needing to do anything. So that's been my pattern so far. Is I send the dog in to do that, and then I send him away and I bring out. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a couple other animal sidekicks you can get, and
Mhm.
I really like the one named Peaches. I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
So
I unlock Peaches.
I'll bring out Peaches. There's another sniper type character you can get later that's a little more silent than Grace, although Grace has incredible range. She's pretty awesome. So I'm with you. It's fun to mix it up. There's a guy who has a rocket launcher later. And a lot of their conversation when I love unlocking that perk because you can listen to them talking to each other, and it could be as simple as them talking to the dog, like "Hey, good boy" or whatever. But sometimes if you have two characters chatting, there's actually a lot of interesting dialogue going on between each other. Two of them are cousins, and they talk back and forth about how they keep a spare of clean underwear in their pocket or whatever. Like it's just funny stuff, very silly. Again, very much reminds me of a GTA, and I think it's at the level of a GTA in quality, both in writing and
Yeah.
just entertainment value and silliness, in addition to having some serious stuff. What do you think about some of the side stuff? I don't know if you've tried arcade yet, and if not, what about stuff like fishing, or how do you like the vehicles, all that kind of stuff?
Excuse me, I'm yawning again.
Did you try arcade yet? I tried it a
I
little
have
bit.
not tried arcade. I have not fished. I do all the side like quests, but I don't do any of like the stuff I would consider boring. I just like to go around and shoot things.
Yeah.
I was gonna say one of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm playing with my friend, is I'll use Grace predominantly, and I like to send her in to die because she's black. So it's
Oh my gosh.
and we'll just like punch her in the face. We like to
Oh my
punch Grace in the
gosh.
face, shoot her. Like if we're mad, we'll just shoot Grace. So
Well, there you go. There's another reason for someone to turn this show down while they're pulling through a public drive-through or whatever.
John
There it
Martin,
is.
please listen to our show. Our
There it
black
is.
listeners are going down. We need you back.
He's not totally black either, but whatever.
I know he's the worst black listener ever. He's not even
And
real. He's not even authentic.
I'm pretty sure he would go to a James Taylor concert over Drake. Sorry.
Probably. But anyways, I really do like to use Grace the most because I
Yeah.
do like to hurt her. But she is good too.
Oh my
So
gosh, she's awesome. Yeah, no, and you can see
just
that
nice.
you can see the green laser of
Mhm.
where she's aiming, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, I'm with you. The sidekick characters are great. There's 9 of them total, 3 for each area. They are varied, which is great. So you don't really have any 2 that do the exact same thing. You have a couple different animals, but they all do different things. One's more of a tank, one's more stealth, one's more about identifying things. You've got a couple different flying partners. You've got several that are on the ground with rocket launcher, sniper rifle, bow and arrow. Very cool way to kind of mix it up, and you can decide who you want to have with you, and then you just give them orders where to move, who to attack, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty fun. I really do enjoy the buddy system they've got there too, the guns for hire. I only started fishing recently. There's a mission that requires you to feed a bear a fish, so you have to go get the fish first. So I went. Turns out I already had a fishing rod in my inventory. I didn't even know that. I was like you. I was ignoring that part of the game. There's all
Mhm.
these fishing spots all over the game by the water, and I'm sure you've seen those. I just ignore them. I never bothered with them. So I finally went. I was supposed to get this salmon for this bear, so I went and I started casting, and I pulled in a couple salmon. I was like, yeah, it's very simple but kind of fun little mini thing to do. Where it's very simple buttons. You cast, you're reeling it in, you're pulling the opposite direction of the fish. You gotta let go when it starts to pull back the heart. It kind of reminds me of the Zelda version of fishing. So it's
Mhm.
not super complicated, but there's just enough there to feel really good about yourself. You can unlock additional lures and get bigger fish. I'm sure there's records to set. I'll tell you this though, man, it's worth doing it a couple times because you'll get a ton of perks right out of the gate. Perk
Yeah.
points. So the perk points add up real quick, especially if you go grab some of the sturgeon down on the southwest side of the map. There's a couple of sturgeon. Just catching one gets you 3 perk points.
Mhm.
So, and they're pretty easy. So, anyway, I recommend doing that. And plus, it's just something else to experience. I've also really liked the kind of the jump off points. There's one in particular. I just put up a video of this today on our YouTube channel. You climb all the way up to what's called Raptor Peak, and there's all these bald eagle nests up there, like a lot of them.
I
And
couldn't
they
figure
are
out how to get there. I was actually just there to go for a Prager or whatever.
uh-huh,
Prager? I can't remember.
the prepper.
Dang. Prepper. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, I don't remember anything. I was supposed to go up there. I think it was that peak. It
Yeah.
wanted me to go up there, and I was like, I
Yep.
don't know how to get up here.
Yeah,
It's
so
not.
there's like a little lookout point about halfway up the mountain, and that's where you got the details for that prepper stash. And
Mhm.
then there's actually a path right from there to the mountainside, cliffside pathway to climb up. And you have to do a whole bunch of grappling and a whole bunch of jumping and timing stuff. And you get to the very top, and then the bald eagles start attacking you. They are not kind, and they come right at you. So I pulled out this little sawed-off shotgun that I got recently, and I was just destroying America one bird at a time, and it was awesome. So yeah, I think those are pretty cool, and then of course the view's pretty amazing. I think this game looks pretty. I do think it's a good-looking game. Maybe not
It'd
the
look
best.
better if you had an Xbox One X and you were playing in native 4K.
It looks just fine on my old
No,
school PS4.
no, that's what poor people say. Just buy an Xbox One X. Stop being so freaking cheap.
I think it's a pretty game. It's got some good. I love when a game has good draw distance. I feel like Witcher 3 games like that have that when you feel like you can see forever and it feels like a real world because it goes really really far. And they don't do the cheap the cop out way of just having fog. You know, it's foggy every day. Like no, you can see really far and it's pretty great. So I'm having a blast with this one. I think it's just one of my favorite open world games I've played in a little while. So I really like it. And it sounds like you're enjoying it too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know we haven't had a lot of releases that I've cared about this year, but it's easily my game of the year. And I do think this one's going to be different from the other Far Cry games as far as I don't think it's going to drop down my list like the other ones did. I think it will stay pretty high this year. I don't think it will be top or anything like that, but I think it'll stay. I think it'll definitely stay in my top 10. I would be shocked if it doesn't.
Okay.
Shocked.
One big piece of news I wanted to share with you guys, and that is, and I'm sure all of you heard this already because everyone posted it a million times. Spider-Man release date for PS4, September 7th is when that game will be arriving. And of course, 1 week later, you've got Tomb Raider, or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I should say. And then 1 week later, if you're a Spyro fan, the Spyro remastered trilogy comes out. So September is a very busy month, specifically for PS4 owners, but really just for anybody because Spyro comes out for PS4 and Xbox One, so does Tomb Raider, but of course Spider-Man is a console exclusive for Sony, and apparently there was all this news about them saying it is never coming to Xbox. They wanted to make that super clear. It is never coming to Xbox. That's fine. It looks really cool. It looks like a lot of fun.
It does look good. I keep trolling people and saying stuff like cancel it, it's trash, I hope it goes away. But I actually am really excited for it.
It looks good.
I was thinking about getting the collector's edition, but I didn't love the statue, so I was like, no, I'm not doing
You know what? I'm with you though. The statue didn't look all that amazing. There's been.
If it would have been
definitely
cooler, like maybe him on a side of a brick building or something like that.
Oh yeah,
that would have been cool.
Good. Insomniac, the ones making this game, they of course made the Ratchet and Clank games, but they also made Sunset Overdrive, that Xbox exclusive from a few years back, and for all that game's faults, it did have some pretty fun mobility around the world. I think they did a good job with that. And so I have high hopes for the mobility, which is one of the biggest things about Spider-Man is just slinging your way through the city. So I'm looking forward to
I just trust Insomniac. Even their games that they are considered bad by them, I liked. Like I forgot. I'm going to forget the name now, but I beat last year in my 4 and Feb one of their games that was considered bad, and I was like, I like it. It was like a 4-player co-op type game, like shooter game, cover-based shooter game. Fuse. I really liked it, and that was considered one of their worst ones. So they don't, to me, ever make a bad game.
Doesn't Fuse have a lot of jetpacks in it? Isn't that Fuse?
I don't think.
I might be thinking of something else.
It's like a 4-player co-op game, but each character is unique and has different like guns and special abilities, and it was supposed to be kind of like a goofy Gears of War type game, but it failed. It did miserable.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's a big release for Sony in September. Of course, people thought that it might be coming out in June based on some fake leaked photo, but no, it is actually September. So that's good. I want some space with some of these games. But
Yeah,
now,
because God of War is supposed to be like actually a pretty big, like
yeah,
20-hour game. So
it's gonna be huge.
yeah.
Yep. And if I'm gonna have time to play Dark Souls on the Switch, I need to leave some time there. I need to leave
Yeah.
some time open.
Yeah, just like you played Bloodborne when you said, if you get back into gaming, I'll play Bloodborne.
That wasn't
I don't
if
see
you
Bloodborne
ever.
on
That
your
wasn't if
what are
you
you playing
ever
list.
get back into gaming. No, that was you had to get back into gaming right then. That's when you
I
had it had to
did
happen.
get back into gaming right then.
No, you didn't. You played one night of Sea of Thieves and then swore at me and left. That's what happened. All right.
I played
So,
Burnout too. I played like 3 hours of Burnout Paradise
oh well, never mind. I should go back and play Bloodborne then
for
immediately.
at least 3 hours. You're in debt to me for 3 hours.
Oh, that's terrifying to hear. All right, so we're going to talk about the first quarter of this year and kind of give a quick review. We've already talked, of course, as the year has gone on about the games that we've played and what we've thought about them. We haven't, of course, played all of the games out there.
Yeah.
We don't have infinite amount of money. Of course, our wedding cost us a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
So we don't have a lot of money left over.
What
after
date
that.
was that we got married? Because I don't even remember it.
That was January 1st. Just kick
Oh,
off the
we
year.
just did it on New Year. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just started the year off.
No better way
Alright.
to start the year than a big gay wedding.
You would think I would remember this. This is terrible.
But of course, you guys would be surprised. Derek is a lot more flamboyant than you might realize. So we went all out for this wedding. It's pretty crazy.
Did I tuck my shirt in like I did today?
You didn't, which was disappointing. But now you're
Yeah.
tucking your shirt in again, which is it's nice. It's nice
Yeah.
to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, finally.
So this year has had, to many people, they would say it's a very slow start to the year, but now it's starting to pick up. I actually think that each month has had something worth noting, whether it's because it was just a big name game, whether or not it delivered, or because something surprised us. And so I wanted to just run through the first 3 months of the year, major releases. If I forget something, Derek, just chime in
Yeah.
and let me know. For the most part, if you've got a thought on this, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just talk about our general I guess just our general thoughts on what we've heard about these games if we haven't played them ourselves.
Yeah, we'll make it quick, but yeah,
So-
we'll go through.
The first one, of course, being Lost Sphere, which was one of my most anticipated games. But as I started to actually watch some more in-depth video on it, I tried the demo, and I read a whole lot of reviews and people who had played it from start to finish. And this game just did not sound that impressive. And I've heard
Yeah.
from more and more people, whether it's professional reviewer or just every man posting on a gaming group,
Why does
this
it have
is
to
just
be
a-
a man?
every woman, well, man, whatever. That's all I care about these days. So and Lost Sphere just didn't live up to the hype. I do think that I Am Setsuna was a solid JRPG, not amazing, but solid. And Lost Sphere, the demo showed me this too, but it's been confirmed by many others, just didn't live up to it. So I still haven't gotten that game. It was
I
on
don't know.
sale
It sounds
recently.
like Lost Sphere kind of lives up to I Am Setsuna, but doesn't exceed it. Like to me, they
That could
both
be true.
fall kind of flat.
Yeah, that could be true. It was on sale recently, but I'm gonna wait for a really steep sale on that one.
What
before,
what was it on sale for?
For the
like on
Switch,
the Switch?
and on the PS4. I think it was on sale
Okay.
for both of those. It was like down to, what was it, 50 normally? I think it was down to 35. That's a game that still needs to get down to the $20 range for me to go for it, just because my hype for it plummeted.
I would
just
like to
before
actually
release.
be able to buy both I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere like packaged together for like $20 or $30. I would do that.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Those are good ones to have on the go, actually. So I would like. Those
I
on
would
the Switch
probably
likewise.
buy them on the Switch. I would
Just
probably do
because you're not going to get a big visual upgrade on the bigger systems as well.
No.
So, by the way, speaking of Dark Souls, that is a good example of when your preference as a gamer really shines, because not
Mhm.
just you, but anybody. If you want this game in 4K, 60 frames per second, I mean, that is as beautiful as it gets these days.
Yeah.
Get it on the Xbox One X or the PS4 Pro. It's going to look amazing. But if you want this game on the go and you want to have the convenience of playing it while you're traveling or just while someone else is using the TV, the Switch is going to show it in 1080p, 30 frames per second on the big screen, 720, 30 frames per second on handheld mode. So it's going to run just fine, but it's going to look stellar on the other systems. So that's a good example of an individual's preference becoming the determining factor there.
Oh, I'm going 4K, 60 frames all the way for Dark Souls.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. So,
Yeah.
yep, it's going to look really, really nice on those systems. So, okay. So Lost Sphere came out on January 23rd. There were a few releases before that, but nothing worth noting.
Mhm.
January 25th saw the release of one of my surprise games of the year so
I was gonna
far,
say
and
this one's not worth noting at all, but yet you
it's
add it.
totally worth noting.
Jeez
Celeste,
Louise.
the PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. One of the best games of
Trash.
the year. One of the best games so far of the year. It's amazing.
Really?
It is.
You're gonna hype it that much?
It's so good. If you like
God, you.
if you like platformers at all, this is top of the line platforming. It's so good. Serious.
I don't like platformers, and I don't like trash, and it nails both of those. So I'm not doing it.
It has an old school pixelated style. I'm not going to
Yep,
be one of
hate that.
those tryhards who calls it beautiful, but it is good looking for that style. If that's your thing, but for me, it's all about how it plays, and it plays wonderfully if you like platformers. I think it's great. I'm going to move on so Derek can't say any other whatever.
If I
trash
didn't give
comments.
Shovel Knight a chance, I'm not giving Celeste a chance.
Yeah, I hear you. It is a very tough game. Dragon Ball Fighters.
That's why I'm not giving it a chance.
Fighter
I
Z.
got your dig. I got your dig.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z Fighters, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I haven't played it, but I know
No.
those who have really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I
there you go.
think it got. I don't know if it reviewed well. I never checked, but I think the people that were hyped for it, and there was a lot in our group, they got their enjoyment out of it.
Oh, it reviewed very well. It was in
It
the
did?
mid to
Okay.
upper 80s.
That's good. That's good.
yeah,
I
it
don't care
reviewed-
about that at
It
all.
reviewed
But
very, very well. So that, I imagine this is going to be in the hunt for best fighting game, best versus fighting game of the year.
well,
at the end of
hopefully Soul
2023.
Calibur takes that. But okay.
I don't care either way. January 26th was Monster Hunter World. Okay, so Celeste was a surprise game. This one surprised me way more for a few reasons. The biggest one being Monster Hunter is a long running franchise. It's been
Yep.
around for a long time, and I've given it very, let's just say, casual attempts a few times on a few different systems with demos and borrowing the game, whatever else. It's never done it for me. I always thought it was too obtuse and just didn't feel quite right. It wasn't that fun. Monster Hunter World got me hook, line, and sinker very, very early on in that game. I ended up picking the hammer as my main weapon. I stuck with it all the way through. I have now defeated, other than the new DLC monster that they added, I've defeated every monster in the game. I've got really great armor. It's really fun, and I love jumping in there, whether with randoms or with friends. This game is a blast, and Monster Hunter World is right up there in the running for me personally for Game of the Year. But it's more. I think it's more that it's a surprise. I had no clue. I thought this would be a afterthought for me, and I really enjoyed it. And it's funny because you played it, kind of liked it, got sick of it, did your 4 in February, and then quit gaming for 6 or
Yeah.
7 weeks. So I do wonder if Monster Hunter World, the repetitiveness of it, was part of you kind of going, I don't want to do this right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, it was that the 4 in February was also kind of more annoying than fun. And then just a lot of personal stuff. Like, I'm not going to get into it on the podcast, but there was just so much happening. And there still is. And I was like too exhausted all the time to game. But I do think I really did like Monster Hunter World a lot. Like, I would rate it my second favorite game this year. Again, I think as we go through this list, I think those two are really the only ones I've played that have released this year. But I liked it a lot, but once I finished at 40 hours. Once I hit about 31, 32 hours, I just stopped wanting to play it. And so I kept playing it because I was like, well, I want to unlock Aloy's outfit, and I ended up missing that. And so I got tired of killing the same monster over and over and over because I needed some gem that I never got. But it got old and repetitive for me. And I still think 40 hours is a good chunk. I don't put 40 hours in most games, so I still played it a lot. But it did get repetitive and old for
Yeah, I
me.
easily played that game for twice that.
Hmm.
It's interesting because I have to acknowledge it is repetitive. You do go in
Yeah.
and fight similar, if not the same monsters over and over again. Yes, there's a point in the game when they all become like a high level or a high ranked version, and they're all tougher. And going to hunt them again, it adds another layer of I don't know, of stuff to do because you fight them again.
But it nails the whole Destiny thing, and I love
It does.
Destiny. I did 100+ hours of Destiny 2. It
It
really
does nail
does
that.
nail
Yeah.
the whole play with randoms. This is the thing. I know there's listeners that don't like playing with randoms. Monster Hunter World and Destiny are two games that you can play with randoms and usually have no issues.
Yep.
Sure, there's going to be some times where you'll get some complete idiots, but 99% of the time that I play with somebody in Monster Hunter World, and
Yep.
same thing with Destiny, Destiny 2, you get guys who understand how the game works, and it's
Yep.
not so hard that you're going to lose all the time.
Well,
But
and
it's
it's because
also still
you're relying
challenging.
on each other in those games. You
Yeah.
need those other players. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a Sea of Thieves where the whole point is it really is designed to grief each other. That's kind of the
Mhm.
whole point. If you're not on a crew together, go mess with each other. So this is the opposite. You need each other, and you don't interact with each other unless you've agreed we're going to go on this mission together. Either you set
Yeah.
it up and they join you, or you look through the board to see what's out there and you join one that was recently kicked off. And so yes, the whole point is to participate together.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed it. I do think it is a pretty good looking game. I like the way they had the monsters animated more than anything else. It won't win my best visuals of the year. I don't even think it'll be close, to be honest with you, after everything else comes out. But overall, I enjoyed the way it looked. I thought it was a decent looking game and just played really well. So I like Monster Hunter World a lot.
It's good.
February 6th saw the re-release of Shadow of the Colossus for the PS4. They didn't even bother calling it remastered or anything. They
Mhm.
just call it Shadow of the Colossus. This thing was rebuilt from the ground up. Looks absolutely stunning.
It does.
The battles were just as fun and epic as I remember, with gorgeous music. Still had some of the movement and camera angle issues that I remember from the original, but it was still. We'll talk about our top of all time here in the next week as we revisit that list. It still is in my top 25. I'll just say that it is an amazing experience, and I loved it on the PS4. thought it
I
was great.
played 1 hour, beat 3 bosses, and then never came back to it. I liked what I played, but it's just not my type of game that it hooked me or anything. I just didn't care.
Yeah, no, I love that game. I think it's just amazing. So as you can tell so far, this is why the first 5 weeks of the year I was like, this is a good year of gaming. Celeste, Monster Hunter World, Shadow of the Colossus. I was loving it, and everything is either letting you down or just kind of not your thing. So we're kind of painting a picture as to why things shook out the way they did
Yeah,
for you.
and it's going to continue with this next game. as
Kingdom
well.
Come Deliverance for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, which you purchased this game.
Yeah, I think I actually used my Sea of Thieves money. So I got a refund on Sea of Thieves, which so glad I did that. And I was like, oh, I got $60, and Kingdom Come was coming out, and I was like, the day before it was releasing, I was like, should I just buy it? And I was kind of starting my slump because I wasn't into Shadow of the Colossus, and I had just finished the 4 in February, and just didn't feel like gaming. I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this because this game seems like it will be a difficult one to get into. But I was like, what if I get hooked into it? It's supposed to be a Skyrim type game that's more story driven. I was like, I'll do it. So I bought it and I played like 30 minutes and was like, no, this is so slow. It's so realistic. I still think I still think it's a good game. I can't say I like it, but I will have to give it more time later. But I just don't think it was the right game for me to buy at the time and how I felt at that time.
Yep.
I think if it's something I actually do come back to, and I know they're patching a lot of stuff that people were complaining about. Like, for instance, one of the examples, this is the biggest issue I had with the game. The game doesn't let you save. So you could play it for like 45 minutes and you die or you have to quit because, you're a dad. You lose all that time. There's like a certain item you have to have in order to manual save. Otherwise, all the other saves are controlled by the game. But it's not like normal games where it saves like every 5 minutes. Like most games, you'll see it. Like you'll see the little spinning thing. Like, hey, we're saving. It's only been 2 minutes, but we're saving again. This game doesn't do that. It's like spread out. Like you have to complete certain amount of objectives for it to save, and it's just like, no, that's not smart. I get what you're going for. You're going for realistic, but you have to remember who's playing your game. That's just not smart.
Yep. No, I agree. I know this one was met with some mixed reviews. It didn't review
It did pretty
horribly,
good. It actually reviewed pretty good, and like I
Yeah.
said, they patched in
but it's not
and
for
are
everybody. That's the
fixing.
bottom line.
Yeah, it's definitely, you have to want something realistic. If you don't want something realistic, you want to live in your little fantasy world and not play something that feels completely real, stay away.
Yeah, if you want to experience something out of this world in video games, then play a different video game. I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That same day, February 13th, was Owlboy for the Nintendo Switch, and that game is also supposed to hit PS4 and Xbox One later this year, but they have not announced release dates for that yet. This was a PC game. I think it was last year. It could have been the year
Yeah.
before.
I think it was
PC
last year.
only. It was pretty well loved by those who are really into kind of platformers and retro games. It actually, yes, it's a platforming game, but you fly more than you are feet on the ground in this game because you can just kind of fly nonstop. They add the ability. The idea is that you partner up with a number of different characters, and then you pick them up, and then whatever ability they have, you now have that ability. So you're actually holding them in your talons and flying around, and either
Mhm.
shooting their pistol, shooting their more of a shotgun kind of a thing that can also burn things, or you got this guy who can shoot webs at one point and kind of zip you across the stage from place to place. So you gain additional abilities by teaming up with people, and then Owlboy, you pick up characters and you use their abilities that way. So pretty interesting mechanic. I do like that you can fly, and I'll tell you, by the end, it was a pretty well told story too. A pretty interesting little post apocalyptic story where this ancient race of owls are the ones who caused a whole bunch of stuff. They're the smart ones too, but they caused a whole bunch of stuff in the world, and things need to be set right. So it's kind of interesting lore there too. I highly recommend Owlboy. I think it's a great game, and I will say that this one is a really good-looking game. Even with the pixelated art style, it doesn't look like Celeste. It looks like a really modern pixelated game. It's very well,
Okay.
very very cool art style with this one. Love Owlboy. And then of course Bayonetta 1 and 2 hit the Switch a few days later. Really cool little compilation of two action games from Platinum Games. If you're easily triggered by games that objectify women, don't play this one. So
Yeah.
just gonna throw that out there to you. It is not super family friendly, both in terms of it's the sexual innuendo, and of course it's very PG-13, but it's there. It's hard to miss.
I love how they objectify women, yet women objectify themselves, and nobody cares. Like, people need to get over it.
Well, let's not get into that right now, but I hear
You
you.
know, I can get into
I
that.
I know you can. I know you can. But what's cool about Bayonetta is that she is a very strong character. I think she's a very interesting character, and I like her a lot. I like the way that they created her in that game.
Since
Sure,
she's a strong, independent woman.
there's ways I would have toned down the sexuality, but whatever. It's what they made, and if it's not for you, then don't play it. But I think
That's
those are
your
fun.
gay side speaking. As a heterosexual man, I'm completely okay with her being the way she is.
It's true. You're not wrong.
They
All right,
really need to tone her down.
that same day, we saw the release of Fe from Fe.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
For PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One.
I was actually kind of interested in this one, but held off because it wasn't loved as much as I thought it was going to be loved.
Exactly. Same here.
I figured it was going to be like, this is a great game. This is like Ori, and when it didn't get that like type of hype behind it, once the reviews came out, I was like, well, nah.
It did not get anywhere near the Ori love, and that's not really fair because Ori and the Blind Forest is a special game. But this one did not. I'm with you. It didn't quite. Even the people the review outlets I expected to love it, didn't love it. So this one I'm waiting for. It's only $20, so I'm not sure what I'm waiting for. I'm just not interested in it at the moment. But I am more interested in that
You'll
one.
probably be able to get it for $8 to $10 in a month or so.
That's what I'm thinking. But the next game on our list, I was not interested in at all, and it was probably one of the biggest failures of the year so far, and that is Metal Gear Survive, launched on
I
February
was
20th.
excited for this because I thought it was going to be like a co-op Metal Gear 5 type game.
Nope.
And I didn't get that.
Yeah, so this one, of course, launched with a whole bunch of problems, and I'm sure they fixed some of them, but it's one of those games that came and went, and now no one's talking about it anymore because other stuff is out now. So, but the next week after that, we finally had another PlayStation VR darling in this game called Moss, where this little mouse that's running around the forest, and apparently it's one of the more I don't know how to put this, but it's a really good VR experience apparently. Even though
JP loved it.
Even though it's in third person, so it's a little bit of a different take on VR. I think that's really interesting that they figured out a way to create a third person adventure game, and with a VR headset. So I think that's very cool.
I think they should do it more. Like it's one of the things I was worried about with VR is it would be too much first person stuff. You know, like obviously that works for like Resident Evil 7, but I would like to see more third person
Yeah.
perspective for VR.
Someone has figured it out, so it'd be nice to see other
Yeah.
developers follow suit with Moss. So that's cool that that one delivered. I assumed that was going to be garbage, but to see it, I think it averaged in the 80s on reviews, which is impressive.
No, yeah, most people liked it, and then like I said, not just JP, but he was the main one I saw posting about it. There was other people in other groups that I saw were talking about Moss being legit, like good VR game.
Yeah.
Like if you want a good VR game, play this one.
Yep.
So
And along the same lines with kid style games, Scribblenauts Showdown came out on March 6th for PC,
Don't
Switch,
care.
and PS4. Never was a big fan of the Scribblenauts games, but they are creative. You got to give them that. Burnout Paradise Remastered, which Derek mentioned earlier, came out on March 16th for PS4
I
and
gotta
Xbox One.
say, it's super fun still, and it looks good in 4K. I actually bought it because I had it on PC, but they said it looks better and runs better on the Xbox One X than PC. So I went ahead and got it. It was $24 at Best Buy like 2 weeks ago, and the game launched at 40, so that was it was already discounted like within like 4 days. So I don't think they sold as well as they thought they were going to.
Yeah.
But I put in like 3 hours and enjoyed every minute of it. It actually was one of the games that kind of helped me get back into gaming before Far Cry came out. So it was one of those games where I don't have to think. I already know what you're doing because I've played it before. But yeah, I highly recommend it. If you've never played it, you definitely need to get it. If you have played it before and you might want to get back into it, I can say this is a good version of it. Like it looks really good. It runs really good.
And I never played any of the Burnout games, but you know me, I'm not a huge racing fan. But I will say this. It's really cool that they're bringing back a much loved franchise. This one's referenced all the time by people. The Burnout.
This goes back to EA, and I don't understand EA. They have so many franchises they do nothing with that people are like, can we please get a coder? Can we please get another Burnout? Can we please? And Jade Empire, nothing, nothing. Let's just not release those.
I wonder if sales from this one could lead to them having the conversation about getting the franchise.
Well, I'm telling you, I watched it. It released at $40 on a Friday, March 16th. By Wednesday, it was on sale on GameStop's weekly ad, $10 off. And then I waited, I waited till Sunday just to see if Best Buy was going to do the same thing. And if they did, I knew I could get it for $24. Sure enough, 9 days after it released, Best Buy had it on sale too. So it couldn't be they. I don't know if they didn't get the pre-order numbers they want, and then they thought about it, and they're like, maybe 40 was too high. Let's drop it to 30. But yeah, it's dropped everywhere.
Well, that's not a good sign.
No.
That same day, March 16th, was Kirby Star Allies, one of the first. I think that is the first Kirby game for the Switch to come out. So, kind of a very fun kids platforming game. You can play 4 players at a time. We played the demo with our kids, had a blast. Very good kids game if you've got some young kids who want to play, and it reviewed quite well as well. Keep in mind it's a Kirby game, so if Kirby's not your jam, don't just get this because it reviewed well. But if you've got young kids, or if you really like Kirby games, by all means go for it.
I never cared about Kirby.
This is more Kirby goodness. Ubisoft released Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered on March 20th for the PS4.
Yeah, one of my 4 and Feb games that I didn't enjoy that much.
But you played the old school version, right? So you didn't get to play the remaster.
I played it on PC, so I got the better native 4K 60 frames per second version.
Which is pretty much what the remastered probably looks closer to, I guess.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. But I do like this game a lot. I don't love it, but I do like it. It kind of does feel like Black Flag expansion.
It is. It's Black Flag. But I felt like the story was worth experiencing, which is what I said when I finished it.
It flips the whole story on its head, which is really cool. I like that.
Does a good job. I hated like actually playing the game. Like it took me I think I started it when it released, and it took like two or 3 years for me to actually finish that game. I had to keep coming back, and I would play it for a couple hours. I'm like, I hate this, and then
it's
I
a
would come
great sales
back.
pitch for the game. Like you'll finish this thing within 2-3 years.
Hopefully. Others have liked it. I saw Justin post about how much he loved it, so
Yeah,
it was more
I
me.
do think it's good. I think it's a solid Assassin's Creed game. And if you like
Yeah.
Black Flag, definitely get it because it's much more of that.
Yep.
All right, so Sea of Thieves, of course, came out March 20th as well for the PC and Xbox
Yeah.
One. Of course, they had a few server issues as things got out of the gate, as all primarily online games do, but I didn't have too much trouble with it. I was able to play that first night for a little bit, and then, of course, I've now played in a couple of weeks since then. This has been I wouldn't call it a super surprising game, but it's been pleasantly surprising to me that I've enjoyed my time with it. I expected it to be really deep and involved and overwhelming, and instead it's actually quite simple and easy to get, and there's not a lot of depth to as far as the progression goes. But for some reason that clicked with me this time, as I've already talked about. So Sea of Thieves has been a kind of a pleasant experience, a pleasant surprise. We'll see where it shakes out by the end of the year, because of course we've got some heavy hitters coming for the next 9 months. But for right now, there haven't been a lot to choose from, but it's definitely one of my favorite experiences of the year. Still behind stuff like Celeste, Monster Hunter, and Far Cry 5, but I do really like it a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, A Way Out, which we talked about a lot last week. You and I need to finish this game. Let's finish it this week if we can. I do want to find out what happens.
Yep.
Before it gets spoiled. But that came out on March 23rd from for the most part, the same team that created the game Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week. Go listen to that episode. But we both like it. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, so far I like it, yeah.
Yeah, and you are Leo and I am Vincent, basically.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That same day was Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, the long-awaited sequel to Ni no Kuni, which of course was a major hit on the PS3. That game has actually received less than stellar reviews, but still good reviews. People like this game a lot, but it's not being put in the instant classic category like the first one was. I think that's fair to say.
Well, and I think the biggest problem was the story. I think the first one was more a personal, dark story, and from what I'm hearing, the second one falls flat
Just
for
doesn't
you
have
to
that.
care about the
Yeah,
story.
it's still fun to play. I've heard the gameplay is still top-notch.
The little bit I played, I liked. I'm glad I bought it on PC as far as it's the best performing version of it. But because I'm playing Far Cry so much, I'm only really logging into my Xbox, and so I forget about my PC, so therefore I forget about Ni no Kuni. I keep forgetting to play it. It would be nice to maybe take a little break from Far Cry, but then again, I'm still loving Far Cry, so whatever.
I say at this point, especially, just play what you're enjoying, since you're just now trying to figure out if you ever want to play games again after this. So you got to figure that out.
Tim's trying to baby me back into gaming.
Come on, keep playing, man.
Don't get discouraged. Stay focused, okay?
Speaking of Far Cry 5, that of course came out on March 27th, the same day as MLB The Show 18, which you can only play on the PS4. Interesting that they locked up that MLB license for so many years. But two major releases, of course, MLB being a yearly release and Far Cry 5 being probably the most anticipated game of the year so far up to this, I'm guessing. I mean, maybe Sea of Thieves might have trumped it right before that, just because it's been a big build-up for that game too. But I would argue that universally, just as far as everyone from the hardcore gamers to the casual gamers, I would say Far Cry 5 was probably the most anticipated game.
Yeah, and I would say for overall, I think it reviewed good, but I think for the hype it got, I think a lot of people were a little disappointed.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's too much of the same old Far Cry stuff. It doesn't know if it wants to be a serious narrative or silly stuff, and I shrug off all of that criticism and say it's all of it. It's just like a Grand Theft Auto game. It's got a lot of serious moments, a lot of silly stuff. It gives you a ton of freedom. I'm not sure what else you want from an open world action game with a lot of RPG upgrade elements. I think it's stellar. I love Far Cry 5.
Same. I don't take games media as very serious though anymore. So
yeah, I don't either. Well, we are games media now, Derek. Just listen to us.
Yeah.
All right.
People take us real serious. Derek, have you played Celeste? No, it's trash.
Oh boy.
Trash.
All right, so I'm gonna give us a quick countdown of the Metacritic top 25 games so far this year, as of March 31st. So this is not as of today, which we are getting ready to start the second week of April. So I'm not including games that came out in the last couple days.
Well, I do want to mention as you do this, I love how it like has Celeste on here 4 times.
Hey, I
So it's
don't run
not a
Metacritic.
true top 25.
I don't run Metacritic. Yeah, the reason I'm doing I was going to do 10, but I realized there's a lot of repeats because
Mhm.
the way Metacritic does it is they actually give separate Metacritic averages for different
Per
console
console.
versions.
Yeah.
And sometimes that makes a big difference. Usually it's only a couple of points off. So, but sometimes it does make it a big difference. So, all right, here we go. 25 is Full Metal Furies for the PC. No clue what that is, but that's at 85. Final Fantasy 15, the Windows Edition, finally came out. Has an
Mhm.
85 average right now. Are you going to get that, by the way, on PC with your Mega
Yeah,
PC?
definitely. I will when it's cheaper. I just didn't want to buy it full price because I knew I wasn't going to play it.
Be on a Steam sale or something, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, I'll get it for cheap.
Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, also came out on PC. That's also at an 85 average. Ni no Kuni 2, The Revenant Kingdom for PS4 is holding an 85 average, also 8.4 user average. So it's the critics and users kind of agree with Ni no Kuni 2. DJ Max Respect for the PS4 has an 85.
Wow. What
No
is
idea what
that?
that. No idea what that is. Dragon Ball Fighter Z for the Xbox One is an 86. Night in the Woods, a port from I think it was a PS4 game from last year, has an 86 for the Switch. Iconoclasts for the PC, 86. Dragon Ball Fighter Z for the PC, 86. Now we're up to number 16. Crypt of the Necrodancer, Nintendo Switch Edition, has an 86 average. I looked at the little video on the eShop of this. I have no interest in it. I'm sure it's a charming little game. I just don't. I don't get it. I watched the video and I have no clue what this game is.
Mhm.
Number 15 is Owlboy for the Switch at 87. Dragon Ball Fighter Z for the PS4 at 87. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition for the PS4 came out in early January. That's at number 13. Subnautica. I've heard this game talked about a little bit. I don't know much about it. For the PC is at 87. That's at number 12. And then, of course, we get our first Celeste entry at number 12. Or, I'm sorry, number 11 so far this year for the PC at an 88 average. This is actually a Telltale series, the Batman series. I need to play Season 2 now that it's got all 5 episodes out.
Yeah.
With the 88 average is Episode 5 called Same Stitch for Batman the Enemy Within, which is Season 2 of the Telltale series.
I'm in the middle of episode 4, so I need to finish it.
Yeah, I need to get in there and play. Now that all 5 are out, I can just binge right through it. I just need to go do that.
I thought I bought that on the PS4. If I did, I think I did. So
I own
you
it.
have
It's
access.
sitting there. Yeah, it's sitting there. I just haven't played it. So
Yeah.
it's ready,
So I thought I bought the whole thing on the PS4.
There's this game called Into the Breach that's kind of fascinating to me. It's a PC game. It's got an 89 average, sitting at number 9 so far this year. It is. It looks like a tactical, kind of a turn-based tactical game on a grid system, I think. But it's also kind of a roguelike where if you die, you get wiped out, but keep your skills and then try. I think it's got this weird combination of those two systems. I've heard it talked about. That one sounds interesting to me. Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 combo for the Switch at a 90. This is weird because they've got that one split out from regular Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. Whatever. Monster Hunter World for the PS4 at a 90 at number 7. Monster Hunter World for the Xbox One at a 90 at number 6. By the way, that's coming out on PC, I want to say end of the summer, maybe? It is coming out on PC, though, later this year.
Yeah.
Celeste for the PS4 at a 91. Users have it at a 5.9. So, interesting.
Those users are all me.
That's at number 5. That's what Derek's been doing instead of playing video games. Is he's been going in Metacritic and just tanking scores that he doesn't like. Shadow of the Colossus for PS4 is at a 91 and a user rating of 9.1.
Yeah, I'm going to need to
4.
go work on that one, too.
Yeah, you need to bring that one down a bit. At number 3 is Bayonetta 2 on the Switch. And from what I've played of it so far, this is at a 92 average. I can confirm it is a significant step up from Bayonetta 1. It feels way better. The combat just feels much smoother. You can tell it was on an HD system because it looks a lot crisper. It's a really good experience so far. So what I've played of Bayonetta 2 so far, I'm like, whoa, they took a really fun last gen game, and this feels like a current gen action game. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Celeste for the Switch with a 92 average, and number 1 is Celeste for the Xbox One with a 94 average. So there you go. There's your best top 25 games according to Metacritic, which, in case you're curious, that is a site that tallies up reviews from all over the place. into
Yeah.
a combined average score for each platform, and then they of course let users review stuff too. The only problem with user reviews is that you get a lot of 10, this is amazing, and 0, it wouldn't load when I tried to load it type scores, and it's really,
That's my favorite thing about going on like Steam and reading user reviews. It's so stupid.
I know.
So
Well,
dumb.
have you ever read? Remember that one we talked about where it's a 2-player game where one of you is the parent and one of you is the baby. The baby if you're the baby, you're trying to die, and if you're
Mhm.
the parent, you're trying to baby-proof the place before they can kill themselves.
Yeah.
And the reviews on that game, what was it called? I feel like it has the word "daddy" in it. Anyway, the reviews on that are hilarious. It's like sometimes you go in if you get the right Steam game, you can find
Mhm.
some amazing reviews written in there. So anyway, there you go. So there's your Q1 of 2018. Curious to hear what you guys think so far. Am I way off base? Has this year kind of sucked so far? And is Derek correct in that there's only been 1 or 2 games really worth your time? Or is Derek being too negative and needs to get out of his gaming funk because this has been a great year so far? That's kind of where I am seeing this. I think Q1 was fantastic. Derek, before we're out of here, if you had to pick one game so far in 2018 as your favorite game, that is
Far Cry 5. Of course,
and it's
Far
not
Cry
even
5.
it's not even close, is it?
It's not even close.
For
I
me,
love
it's a really close call between Far Cry 5 and Monster Hunter World, and right now I'm giving the edge to Far Cry 5, but it's just barely. So we'll see how it shakes out by the end to see if this game wears out its welcome by the time it wraps up.
Yeah, I'm curious after you beat the third brother or whatever. Excuse me. The second brother, but like the third sibling, if you just go straight into like the final boss fight or if you have to take over another area or what. I'm wondering how it's going to happen.
Yep, me too. And I will say this one more thing: when the main bosses from that game look right at, because it's a first-person game, they look right at you, especially Joseph with those eyes. Dude, it's creepy. It's legitimately creepy when they look right at you. So anyway, that does it for episode
You
120.
say the same thing when I look at you.
It's true.
I was going to say something really sexual and gross, but then I was like, you know what? I actually have a line that I can't cross.
Wow, we just discovered something new about you today.
Yeah, Jesse,
You
keep your
you-
windows rolled up.
you do
You ain't
have
white,
a line.
you ain't right.
You do have a line you won't cross. All right, do you want to leave us with any?
Looking into your eyes.
Stop. Just stop before you keep going. Stop. All right.
If you ain't white, you ain't right.
Every episode. There it is. Oh my word. Jeez. All right. Well, that does it for episode 20. We're out of here.
All right.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?